Name: The Runaway Bride. On the eve of her wedding, Grace walks into ShopRite to buy a few last-minute items, but what she finds instead is him. Nathan, the man who vanished without goodbye. Her first love. The one she thought she had buried in the past. Now, with her heart torn between a promise and a memory, she must answer the question. Will she go on with the wedding, or follow her heart back to the man who once broke it? As Grace turned around the corner in ShopRite, she accidentally bumped into a man pushing a trolley. "Whips!" she exclaimed, stumbling back.
"Ah, Ohat, sorry. I didn't see you."
She bent down quickly to collect a can of beef that had fallen from the trolley. As she reached to hand it back, her eyes widened in disbelief. Lo and behold, "Nathan," she gasped. "Grace," the young man responded, equally shocked. They stared at each other for a moment, then rushed into an emotional hug, completely unaware of the people around them. For that brief moment, they were lost in their own world. "Nathan, where have you been?" Grace asked, her voice low and trembling. "You made me go through so much. I suffered." "I'm sorry, dear," Nathan said softly. "I failed you. After I introduced you to my parents, everything changed. My father refused to accept you. He said he had someone else in mind, the daughter of his old friend." Grace stared at him, silent. "I refused," Nathan continued. "I was furious. So I left Zambia. I went to Wales. I didn't want to be part of anything here anymore. I deleted all local contacts, disappeared completely. A year later, I called my father and told him I was marrying a white woman. He sighed. Even then, he was against it. That's when he apologized. He finally admitted he had been wrong about our relationship." Grace's voice cracked. Which girl was he talking about? Nathan's eyes softened. "You, Grace. You're the only one I truly had." "But Nathan," she whispered, tears forming. "All along you were silent. You left without a word. You broke my heart. I cried for months. You were my first love. The only man I was ready to walk down the aisle with and say, 'I do.' Do you remember our promises?" "I do," he said gently. "And I just came back to Zambia last week." "What are you doing here in Chingola?" she asked. "I live here now. I work in the mines." "Wow," Grace whispered. "And you?" Nathan asked. "What brings you to Chingola?" "I work here too," Grace responded. "I'm a lab technician at Nchenga North Hospital. I was posted here after university." Nathan smiled. "And today, what brings you to ShopRite?" Grace hesitated. "I'm here with my friends and my sisters-in-law. We're buying some things for an occasion." Nathan raised a brow. "Sisters-in-law?" She lowered her head. "Yes." Nathan's expression darkened. He pointed at her, almost shaking. "Wait, Grace, what are you talking about? Are you married?" Her voice trembled. "It's not like that, Nathan. After what happened at Copperbelt University, I had to pick myself up. I was wounded, emotionally. My heart was shattered. Then someone came into my life. I resisted him, but eventually I gave up. I lost hope. I waited for you, Nathan, but you were gone." "Grace, I didn't know how to face you," Nathan said softly. "Would you have wanted me to come tell you that my parents were against us? I couldn't bear the thought of hurting you. But you hurt me more by vanishing," she said, moving closer. "So running away was the better option? You just left me broken." Her eyes welled with fresh tears. The ShopRite staff and onlookers avoided interrupting. The tension between them was palpable. "So you're married now?" Nathan asked again, his voice almost a whisper. Grace took a deep breath. "Not yet. But tomorrow is my wedding day. I only came here to buy some drinks. My friends and I were shopping for the wedding dress. They're waiting at Gifts and Glamour Boutique." Nathan's face lit up slightly. "So, you're not married yet?" "No," she said. "But I will be tomorrow." Nathan stepped forward, desperation in his eyes. "Grace, don't do it. Please. I'm begging you." "It's too late, Nathan," she said, stepping back. "I have someone now. I can't do this." "But we promised, Grace." You and I. We promised each other. Yes, but you ran away, she whispered. She grabbed her basket of groceries, wiping her eyes. Nathan tried to reach for her arm, but she pulled away. As she walked toward the exit, his hand remained hanging in the air. Not again, Nathan muttered, watching her disappear into the crowd. I won't lose her. Not this time. Outside, Grace jumped into the waiting car. What's going on? Jacqueline asked, alarmed by her expression. Did something happen in ShopRite? You're shaking. Priska Chamba, her sister-in-law, interrupted lightheartedly. Malamu, it's a bad omen for a bride to look so sad during wedding preparations. Come on, cheer up. Grace didn't answer. Her face told a story no one else knew. Let's go, she instructed the cab driver, her voice faint. Everyone sat quietly, puzzled and concerned. None of them knew what, or who, Grace had just encountered in the store. But her silence was loud. Her pain was visible. Back inside ShopRite, Nathan remained where she had left him, still staring at the exit. He clenched his jaw. This time, he whispered to himself, I won't lose her. Not to any man. There was laughter and jubilation in Mr. Chalesh's house. From the break of dawn, relatives and neighbors had woken up early to prepare for the long-awaited wedding. It was the day everyone had been waiting for, the kind every parent dreams of, watching their daughter walk down the aisle. But the bride was still in bed. Grace lay motionless, curled up under her blanket with her head covered. The center of the occasion was missing from the celebration. Hey, big sissy. Violet called cheerfully, barging into the room with energy. She started singing off-key, mimicking 50 Cent's tune. It's your big day, wake up. It's your big day. Wake up, Grace. Let's start preparing. But Grace didn't budge. She didn't even flinch. Violet's cheerful mood shifted. She walked closer and gently shook her sister's shoulder. Grace. One of Grace's eyes opened halfway, then quickly shut again. Violet froze. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. Just yesterday, Grace had been praying for time to move faster so she could finally be with Benjamin. She had praised him endlessly, loving, responsible, caring. The kind of man every woman hoped for. But now? Now she lay there like the weight of the world had crushed her. Violet slowly backed out of the room, as if she had disturbed a sleeping lioness. She gently closed the door behind her and ran to call their mother. Inside the room, Grace's heart was a battlefield. Her soul was in chaos. She wanted to scream, but she couldn't. The pain inside her was too big to let out. It burned like a secret fire. How could she tell her family that her heart no longer belonged to Benjamin? How could she explain that yesterday she met Nathan, the man who disappeared from her life without a trace? The man who had once held her entire world in his hands? She thought she had healed. She thought she had moved on. But Nathan's unexpected return had reopened every scar. Then came the knock. The door creaked open. Aunt Gertrude stepped in first, followed by her mother and Violet. Baby, what is it? Her mother asked, trying to sound cheerful. Cheer up. It's your big day. Grace didn't respond. She buried her head deeper into the pillow. Her mother walked closer and sat beside her. Mwana Wandi, what's wrong? Crying on your wedding day is a bad omen. It will ruin your makeup. The artist is already here. Maybe she's scared of leaving us, Aunt Gertrude joked, trying to lighten the mood. Our baby is finally moving out. Everyone in the room laughed, except Grace. It's normal to cry on your wedding day, Gertrude added. I cried too. Don't worry. Kitwe and Chingola aren't far. We'll be visiting you every weekend. They laughed again. But Grace wasn't crying about leaving home. She was crying for something deeper, something no one else could see. Inside, her heart was flooding. A river of emotions was pulling her into a current she couldn't escape. That river had a name, Nathan. And he was the only one who could save her from drowning. Please, baby, wake up, her mother said, gently pulling her from the bed. Grace slowly sat up. Her mother wiped her tears. Go and freshen up. Don't cry, Mwana. You'll be fine. Minutes later, the makeup artist entered. Outside, Drums rolled and women ululated joyfully. Laughter echoed through the air. Mr. Chalesh's home was alive with celebration. But inside the bride's heart, every drumbeat tore her apart. "Don't cry, madam," the makeup artist said gently. "You'll mess up your wedding dress." Still, the tears kept falling. "Please, ma'am," the artist turned to Grace's mother. "Talk to your daughter. I can't do my job while she's crying like this." No one understood. Grace was being prepared for a wedding she wasn't sure she wanted anymore. The makeup brush touched her face, but her heart bled within. The church bells rang softly in the distance. The white tents outside were already packed. Smiles were everywhere. Cameras clicked. Guests posed in colorful chitenge outfits. The groom, Benjamin, stood at the altar with pride, his heart full of love and expectation. But in the bridal room, silence. Grace sat before the mirror in her wedding gown. Her veil draped delicately over her shoulders. Her makeup was flawless, but her eyes betrayed her. They were red, distant, burdened. On the outside, she looked like every woman's dream, elegant, calm, and prepared for the big moment. But inside, she was falling apart. No one knew what was eating her. Not her mother. Not Aunt Gertrude. Not her joyful little sister Violet. Not even Benjamin, the man she was about to marry. Only Grace knew what her heart was battling. Her thoughts were a whirlwind. "Nathan, why did you come back now? Why didn't you stay gone? Why did my heart still respond to your voice after all this time?" She remembered how his eyes searched hers at ShopRite. The regret. The pleading. The pain. "Don't do it, Grace. Please." His voice echoed in her mind like a sacred vow. Her hand trembled slightly. She clasped her bouquet tighter. Benjamin was everything she prayed for in a man. Faithful, kind, dependable. He loved her with pure sincerity. He deserved her. But did he have her heart? Did she even know where her heart belonged anymore? But what is troubling me is not Nathan, but something bigger than that. She was like someone who had traveled to a far-off land. Her eyes stared at something no one else could see. The makeup artist paused, brush in hand, and watched her carefully. This was not the same bride she had begun working on. Grace had drifted, emotionally, mentally, deep into a memory soaked in rain. It had been a chaotic, rainy day when Grace knocked off from Changa North General Hospital. The rain came down in torrents, thick, cold, merciless. It rained dogs and cats, and the streets were flooded beyond recognition. Most taxi operators had abandoned the roads. The water levels made driving risky, and even walking was nearly impossible. She stood at the hospital's main entrance, watching the swollen gray sky as more clouds rolled in. The air was thick with the promise of more rain. Her heart sank. She couldn't walk home. The floods would ruin her outfit, and her shoes were already soaked. With a sigh, she decided to take her chances and hike from the single quarters, SQ, residence, hoping to catch a ride from someone. Miners knocking off their shifts passed her, trudging through the water in gumboots, their uniforms drenched. But Grace wasn't dressed for that kind of journey. Her attire, neat and professional, couldn't survive the storm. Just as she was considering turning back, a pair of bright headlights cut through the rain. A blue Toyota Corolla slowed to a stop beside her, its floodlights blinding for a moment. "Jump in," a man shouted from the driver's side, door already ajar. Grace hesitated, bending slightly to see who was calling. She didn't usually accept rides from strangers. But the rain, the darkness, and the isolation made her rethink her options. The road to nurses' quarters was long, and not safe alone. With her heart pounding, she slid into the front seat. The car was warm, a slight relief from the chill outside. She glanced sideways. The lighting was dim inside, but she partially recognized the driver's face. She'd seen him before, passing in the hospital corridors. "Hey, I'm Benjamin," he said calmly. Grace Chili. "I work in the hospital lab," she replied, brushing water from her sleeves. "I thought I've seen you before," he said with a small smile. Grace smiled back. "Where do you stay?" he asked, eyes on the road. "Nurses' quarters, 3rd Street." Oh, okay. That's nearby. Moments later, they reached her stop. Here we are, she said politely. Benjamin stopped the car. Grace got out, closed the door gently, and watched as the car splashed through the puddles and vanished into the dark, rainy night. She entered her flat, cold and drenched. Without much thought, she threw her handbag on the bed, changed into dry clothes, and headed for a quick bath. She was exhausted, too tired to even think about food. Later, as she reached into her bag to make a call, she froze. Her phone was missing. She emptied the contents onto the bed, checked every pocket. Nothing.
Panic set in.
She had left her phone in the car. Benjamin's car. She didn't even know his full name. She barely knew him. They'd only exchanged names in passing. She had no number, no backup plan. And it wasn't just any phone. It was her new iPhone, purchased after months of saving. It held everything. Her contacts, her personal messages, work details, everything. What if he keeps it? What if he reads something private? What if he disappears with it? She rushed out of her flat and ran to the neighboring quarter. She knocked frantically. Catherine opened the door, surprised. Grace? What's wrong? I need to use your phone, please, Grace said, breathless. I left mine in a car. A stranger gave me a lift home. Of course, Catherine said, handing it to her without question. Grace quickly dialed her own number. It rang, then dropped. She tried again. It dropped again. Fear crawled up her spine. Do you even know the guy? Catherine asked. I've seen him around. He's a clinical officer at the hospital, Grace replied. His name is Benjamin. Just then, the phone flashed, an incoming call. Grace snatched it quickly and answered. Yes, who is this? She asked, heartbeat racing. A cool, steady male voice responded. Is this Grace? He asked. Yes, is that Mr. Benjamin? Yes, it's me, he said calmly. I believe you left something important in my car. Yes, please. Grace answered with excitement. I left my phone in your car. I've been trying to make an important call this evening. Yes, I found it, Benjamin said, his voice calm. Can I bring it over to you? Grace exhaled in relief. Yes, I'd be so happy if you could. All right, I'll be there in the next 30 minutes. As the call ended, Grace let out a deep breath. I'm glad my phone has been found, she said, turning to Kathy with a grateful smile. Yeah, Kathy responded amused. You really looked like you were about to collapse. I almost did, Grace laughed nervously. About half an hour later, beams of headlights sliced through the darkness and focused on Grace's apartment. A car pulled up, its tires softly splashing over the wet ground. Grace quickly stepped outside. Benjamin stepped out of the car, phone in hand. The night had quieted down, but the skies still threatened more rain. Here, he said with a smile, holding out her phone. Didn't want you to panic all night. Thank you so much, Grace replied warmly. Please come in. No, Benjamin hesitated. I'm a bit busy. I just wanted to bring your phone before. Please, I insist. Just a cup of tea, Grace interrupted, her voice gentle but firm. He hesitated again, but finally nodded. All right then. A quick one. He stepped inside. The warmth of the room welcomed him. It's warm in here, he said, rubbing his hands slightly. Yes, the air conditioning's on, Grace replied, heading to the small kitchen space. Let me fix you some tea. As she began boiling water, a low rumble rolled through the sky. Suddenly, crack. A loud thunderclap split the air, followed by a burst of white light through the window. Then came the downpour. The heavens opened wide, releasing sheets of rain that hammered the roof. Benjamin looked toward the window.
Wow.
That storm came out of nowhere. I had a feeling more was coming, Grace said from the kitchen. Looks like your tea bought me extra minutes, he chuckled. Or maybe the rain just wanted to keep you here a bit longer. Grace replied playfully, peeking over her shoulder. Benjamin smiled. He looked around. Her apartment was modest but cozy. A bookshelf near the wall. A potted plant by the window. Clean curtains. The smell of tea and vanilla lingered in the air. You live alone? He asked. Yes, she replied, bringing 2 cups to the table. It's peaceful. Benjamin Saturday, I like peaceful. She handed him a cup, their fingers brushing briefly. The thunder roared again, but neither of them flinched this time. So, thank you again, Grace said, looking at him. You have no idea how much that phone means to me. I could tell. The way you called back to back, he teased. Grace laughed. Outside, the rain continued to fall hard. But inside, the atmosphere grew softer, warmer. 2 strangers slowly beginning to feel like something more.